Yes, it's adventure time again. That's right, Uncharted 4 is to be released worldwide on May 10th. With its imminent release, we thought we'd take you back through some of Uncharted's history. I'm Jack from Slash Dot Dash Dot, and this is our Uncharted Retrospective.
Slash dot dash dot slash dot dash dot slash dot dash dot slash dot.
The 90s. A time when everything had to have attitude. And a bowl cut. If you remember the 90s like me, God, I miss my childhood, then you'll remember this guy. He was sort of PlayStation's mascot and was created by Naughty Dog. After 3 very good platforming games and a decent Mario Kart clone, Naughty Dog decided to ditch their guy from Down Under and move on. Next they came up with Jak and Daxter for PS2, which wasn't remotely like Crash at all, honestly. We promise. Okay, so it was essentially the same game, but with the second and third installment they tried to flesh out the story, and for the most part they created an interesting world. A side note, Jak 2 was bloody difficult. I hated it. Bloody unforgiving checkpoint system. It was a nightmare. It was interesting when Naughty Dog returned with their PS3 title, Uncharted Drake's Fortune. With a full cast of human characters, it immediately set the game apart from other Naughty Dog series. Even though the mechanics were largely lifted straight from other games, they managed to balance it all up into a lovely package, with a voice cast who have some of the best rapport in gaming history.
I'm up to my eyeballs in debt. I was really counting on this one.
Too many big bar tabs in Lima, I guess.
That and, well, just a few bad deals.
Yeah, well, I always told you to stay away from the bad guys. And the bad girls.
Yeah? Look who's talking.
What's that supposed to mean?
That reporter? I saw the way you were eyeing her.
Elena? Please. I snuffed any chance with her the second we ditched her on that dock.
To basically making the best Indiana Jones game we are ever gonna get. The game cemented Naughty Dog's position as a unique selling point for Sony. The games are centered on our hero and everyman, Nathan Drake, going on adventures with some close friends and colleagues to find mythical treasures. This undoubtedly leads to double-crossing.
Only you overlooked one little detail. Didn't you, partner?
Shootouts, and monsters. Yes, monsters. Uncharted Drake's Fortune sees Nathan Drake team up with longtime mentor Victor Sullivan and Elena Fisher, who's a journalist. They're trying to track down the lost city of El Dorado through clues left by Sir Francis Drake, who Nathan claims is an ancestor of his. As they progress, it's revealed that Victor owes money to Roman, the villain of the game. So Roman decides to follow their trail to try and find the lost city as payment. They soon discover that it's actually a statue and not a lost city. Navarro, who is working with Roman, knows that this statue has powers that can turn men into zombie-like monsters. He lets Roman open the statue, which ultimately starts to turn him into one of these zombies. At this point, Navarro shoots Roman and decides that he will take the statue for himself. Nathan chases him down, and it leads to a fight on Navarro's boat. This end fight isn't the greatest, it's actually quite a lazy way to end the game with a QTE. But overall the game's brilliant, and I thoroughly recommend it if you haven't checked it out. Uncharted 2 Among Thieves introduces new characters such as Chloe and Flynn. These characters meet with Nathan to persuade him to join in with their efforts to steal an oil lamp from the Marco Polo Museum. Flynn is working for a client who's later revealed to be the villain of the story. The oil lamp is actually not what everyone is after. They are trying to get to the Chintamani stone in Shambhala. Flynn double crosses Nathan at this point and leaves him to fend off the security from the museum. Ultimately, Drake is captured and sent to jail. 3 months later, Chloe helps free Nathan with the help of Victor Sullivan. They reveal that Flynn is working for Zoran Lazarevich. He's also after the stone. Nathan and Sully go to Borneo and they infiltrate Lazarevich's camp. Chloe infiltrates Lazarevich's group as a mole. It is then revealed that the Chintamani stone never actually left Shambhala. At this point, Nathan finds the key to Shambhala and deduces that they must travel to Nepal to find a temple that will lead them to the entrance of Shambhala. Chloe switches sides often here. This is to remain in cover, but at some points it's not clear to Nathan which side she truly is on. Nathan and Chloe head to Nepal. It is currently in a state of conflict with Lazarevich's mercenaries versus some resistance. It's here where they bump into Elena Fisher once again and her cameraman, who are reporting on Lazarevich. Once again here, Chloe switches sides as the group are caught by Lazarevich. He kills the cameraman and gets the Shambhala location from Nathan, who escapes with Elena. Nate fights his way along a train to find Chloe, but he is shot by Flynn, leaving him bleeding out in a train car and Flynn's men catching up. Nate decides to cause an explosion at this point as he sees his only way out. This causes the train to go hanging off the edge of a cliff. Eventually, Nathan reunites with Elena in a Tibetan village. They meet an old German explorer called Schaefer. Just as Nate's ready to give up on the quest, Schaefer sends him with his friend Tenzin to find the remains of Schaefer's search. As he works his way through the caves, Nathan discovers that Schaefer wasn't lying and he indeed had an exposition here. He discovers that Schaefer was a former SS officer and he killed all his men to protect the world from the Chintamani stone. Once they return from the caves, Nathan and Tenzin find that the village is under attack from Lazarevich's convoy. They fight their way through to find that Schaefer is wounded and he dies in Nathan's arms. Schaefer tells Nathan to go and destroy the stone before Lazarevich can obtain the power from within. Nate and Elena eventually find the secret passage to Shambhala, but Lazarevich also finds it, and Lazarevich forces Nathan to open the gate to Shambhala. When the gates are opened, the monsters from Shambhala attack. Lazarevich kills them, but he reveals that they are just the people of Shambhala in disguise. They call them the Guardians of Shambhala. The group eventually discover the Chintamani stone. They discover that it's the blue resin embedded in a prehistoric tree, which they call the Tree of Life. This is what Lazarevich is after, and he actually gets to the tree before Nathan. He ingests some of the sap, and all his wounds magically disappear. The final fight is with Lazarevich chasing Nathan down in a circle, the player having to explode some of the blue sap near Lazarevich to cause him to die. Once Lazarevich is defeated, Chloe and Nathan have to carry Elena to safety. They escape and arrive back at the village, and at which point Chloe tells Nathan that if he loves Elena, he should be with her. The game ends with the couple paying their respects to Schaefer. Uncharted 2 is probably the best of the series. It brings in a host of characters and really balances up everything that was brilliant from the first game. Uncharted 3 Drake's Deception reveals more of the character's past, with some flashback scenes showing how a young Nathan Drake met Victor Sullivan. During this flashback, we see Nathan in Colombia in search of Sir Francis Drake's ring, the ring that we've seen throughout the rest of the series. We see Victor Sullivan working with a woman called Marlowe. Marlowe captures Nathan as he's about to obtain the ring. She starts slapping Nathan across the face once he has the ring. Sully doesn't like this and decides to let the kid go. It's at this point that Sully then takes Nathan on as his protege. We return to the present day. After a deal with Marlowe that goes bad, it's revealed that Nathan was actually double-crossing her. They follow them back to an underground library hidden deep within London's underground. They managed to retrieve T. Lawrence's notebook and a map showing Francis Drake's secret voyage to Arabia. It was commissioned by the Queen. The secret voyage was to find the lost city of Ubar. The notes from Lawrence's notebook lead the group to France and Syria. They find further clues to the city of Ubar in these locations, but unfortunately one of the characters breaks his leg, Cutter, and this means him and Chloe have to stay behind, with Sully and Nate going to the Yemen to further their quest. It's here that they meet up with Elena, who at this point in the story has married Nate and since separated with him. She leads them to the tomb that they suspect has further clues. When they get to the tomb, they find the location they need in the Ruba Kali desert, where they believe Ubar to be. It's at this point that Marlowe and Talbot turn up and cause trouble. It results in Nate being taken away on a pirate ship and Sully being taken away by Talbot and Marlowe. Nate escapes the pirate ship and gets washed up back in Yemen. He meets up with Elena and they plan to go and rescue Sully, hijacking a plane that is to drop some supplies for Marlowe's men in the desert. Side note, this scene in the game inspired a scene in one of the Mission Impossible films. An explosion on the plane leads to Nate landing in the desert. He wanders for days and days until he comes across a village. In the village he's ambushed by Marlowe's men, and he's saved at the last minute by Salim. Salim is a sheikh of a local group. He tells Nate that Ubar is cursed and that he should not go there. When Nate tells him that he needs to stop Talbot and Marlowe, Salim agrees to help him. Nate catches up with the convoy that has Sully. They escape together and then end up in Ubar. Once they open the way to the city, they discover that the citizens are all dead. This is because of the tainted water supply. Nate accidentally drinks some of the water. It sends him crazy and he believes that Sully has been shot. When he comes to, him and Sully find where Marlowe and Talbot are. They discover that they're trying to take the brass vessel that is in the water supply that has tainted it with the powerful hallucinogenic agent. Nate shoots at the crane, causing the brass vessel to fall back into the water supply. At this point, the city starts to crumble, and everyone has a mad dash to leave. Marlowe ends up in a sinkhole, and Nate does the right thing and tries to save her, but unfortunately it's too late. Sir Francis's ring also goes in the sinkhole at this point. On their way out of the city, as it's still crumbling, Talbot attacks Nathan and Sully. They manage to overcome him, and they escape with the help of Salim. Nate and Sully reconnect with Elena, and it's at this point that Nathan and Elena put their differences aside. The end of the game sees Sully taking the pair to a seaboat similar to the one from the first game. Uncharted 3 was not as good as Uncharted 2, but it was a very nice way to close out the series on the PlayStation 3. Now of course there was the Vita game as well, Golden Abyss, and that was an excellent addition and probably the only reason to own a PS Vita. Naughty Dog also released the remasters for PS4 with the first 3 games in, and I would recommend anyone that hasn't played the series to pick these up if you have a PS4. So with Uncharted 4 just around the corner, I'd like to just let you know things that I'm most excited about for the new game. Obviously on new hardware it's going to be interesting to see how the series progresses. It's also supposed to be the last game, so it'll be interesting to see how they draw a conclusion to Nathan Drake's story. The fact that it's pirate mythology and pirate treasure that we'll be going after in the 4th game is also a very exciting prospect. The final thing that I'm really excited about, Nolan North's Nathan Drake is going to be paired with his brother Sam Drake, who is voiced by Troy Baker, my favourite voice actor in the industry. The series with fantastic dialogue, it will be very interesting to see how these two play off each other. So if you're looking for a game with an epic soundtrack, fantastic cinematic moments, and some of the best dialogue ever in gaming history, Uncharted is the series for you. If you haven't played any of the games, you could probably pick up the 4th one. They're pretty self-contained, so you don't need to know much about the backstory, But hopefully this video's filled in a few gaps for anyone that hasn't played and rejogged the memories of others who have already played the series. Thanks for watching. Check the description box below for links to our Twitch site and to our Twitter. I'm Jack from /. Thanks for watching.